Hi and welcome to another EON cooking class. Today we're cooking lentil curry, which is a vegetarian curry, very tasty, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. Before you start cooking, you need to go and wash your hands, and you need to chop up your vegetables and we're ready here now to start putting our food together. To cook this dish, you're going to want to have a large baking pan or a casserole dish, or your camp oven that you can cook it on the fire. And so we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in, and we're going to soften up our onions. Quite a lot of onions in this one, since it's vegetarian. It's got to have as much flavour as it can get. Always soften up your onions before you start cooking the rest of your vegetables. It helps bring the sugars out within the onion and adds heaps of flavour to whatever you're cooking. So whatever you're cooking in this time, although it'll end up cooked more as a casserole, you could do it in an electric fry pan for instance, you still need to be able to fry at the beginning. We're going to get our onions starting to heat up, and we've diced up some carrots, so we're going to put some carrots in there as well. Those two soften up well together. Once the onion starts to soften enough, we're going to add some chopped up capsicum. Stir that in, and we're going to mix some tomatoes, some diced tomatoes to it. So if you've got a can of diced tomatoes that you can add, that'll be the last of our early vegetables that we put into this pot. Once you're satisfied that your vegetables are cooked a little bit, your onions starting to become clear, perhaps your other vegetables are softening a little bit, then we're going to turn the heat down so that we can add our spices to the mix. So we're going to put some curry powder in. We're just using regular curry powder. This is Keen's curry powder, which most of us in Australia are used to doing rather than making our own curry. So we'll try and get a relatively flat spoon, and so at that much I reckon I'd put maybe 2 dessert spoons of curry powder into this mix. I'd like to put about a teaspoon of coriander. This is ground coriander. And the other thing that I like to put in here is some ginger. Now, I sometimes would use powdered ginger. Today I've got a little jar of ground up ginger, which is a little bit stronger than the powdered ginger. So because it's fresher, it's stronger. In this recipe, I'm suggesting that you just add water. You can add chicken stock or some other thing like that. Maybe about 2.5 cups of water. You want quite a lot of water in this one, because we're going to thicken it not with flour, but we're going to thicken it with lentils, and lentils will soak up quite a lot of water. So maybe a little more water than you might normally have in there, and mix that in. And then we can put in our lentils. These lentils that I'm using, these are split red lentils. They're like a little split pea, but they're smaller than that. And we're going to put maybe a cup in there. You can put more. Once your curry's been cooking for a while, you'll find that the lentils are starting to dissolve. They're almost disappearing. They're not quite disappearing yet, but it's worth sampling and make sure that they've got rid of that crunch out of the middle of them. And you should find that the curry flavour and the curry smell is starting to get everywhere as well. You may find, as you're cooking, that you need to add a bit more water. Make sure it doesn't go dry, and especially for this next stage, you're going to find that you need a little bit more water. So what we're going to add now is some diced up zucchini. Now you could use pretty much any vegetable that you want to use here, but we're using zucchini, sweet potato and beans. Certainly curries often have white potatoes in them, so you could use whatever you want. I dice them up into pieces so that they're something to replace the size that a piece of meat might be in your cooking. So add your zucchini. You can really just put it all in together, because you're just going to cook it now until the potato is soft, and then you're going to turn it off. So add them all in now, and you're certainly with the amount of water that I've got here, I'm going to have to add some water so that my vegetables now are cooking properly. You'll notice at this stage we've not added any salt and we've not added any sugar. One of the things that you can add, which that would increase the saltiness, If you wanted to, you can use some Vegeta gourmet seasoning. If, for instance, you wanted a little bit more of a chickeny flavour in it, you can use that. Often we use that as a seasoning. So you could put a bit of that in. And the other thing that you could add, if you so desire, is a little bit of chili powder now. Let me warn you that chili powder is very strong. If I was adding chili powder, and I've tasted it already, if I was adding chili powder to it, I would put a small bit on the tip of a teaspoon and add it at a time so that I can taste it in between. And you might still find that some people don't like it. And the other thing that I would add, that I always add to a curry, is some lemon juice or lime juice. Actually, I prefer lime juice, and of course I prefer fresh fruit, but in this case I've got a little bottle of lemon juice, and we'll just add some. It just gives some sharpness to the flavour at the end. So a bit of a, maybe that's the juice of half a lemon or something like that you might add to it. And then mix it in, and you'll find that your curry is ready to go. So enjoy your lentil curry. Well, we're told that lentils are a high source of protein, something like meat. And so it's not so different to eating meat, except that it's all vegetarian, and it's great because most of the stuff comes straight out of your garden. Enjoy.